Hello, and welcome to the Be Purely Balanced podcast. I'm Dr. Crystal Couture, and today I am here with Gi Indoccio, and we are talking about mindfulness. Founder of Be Mindful with Gi and Graceful Awakenings, Gi is passionate about her work as a licensed clinical mental health counselor, certified clinical hypnotherapist, board-certified life coach, and Reiki master teacher. Gi is currently in training to be certified mindfulness-based stress reduction teacher at the University of Massachusetts Medical School. Gi holds a master's in applied psychology and counseling from Antioch University, where she began her work in 1995 as an integrative holistic counselor at Dover Star Institute in Hooksett, New Hampshire. Welcome, Gi.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to come on and speak with you.
It's such a pleasure to have you on the show today. I would love to first start with having you talk a little bit about your own sacred healing journey, how you sort of came into healing and what your process was like.
So for myself, and again, I'm very excited to be here and to share my story and mindfulness with people. For quite a bit of my life, I have had some struggles, as many people have, but particularly in 1992 to 1995, there was a series of events in my life that left me in crisis. My mother, whom I was very close with, but a bit tumultuously, passed away of emphysema at only 66 years old. Also at that time, I was diagnosed with malignant melanoma, which was a little scary.
Wow.
And which is skin cancer. And also was told that I would probably never have children, which is something that I wanted more than anything in my life. And unfortunately, the demise of my marriage started in the beginning of a divorce process. So an awful lot came tumbling down within those years, increasing anxiety and panic attacks.
Wow. So what happened?
Well, unfortunately, as you could imagine, my life spiraled out of control with the anxiety and panic attacks taking control. And I would say that the words would be, I was immobilized, like literally fell down the rabbit hole. And I just realized that, thankfully, I could not live my life like this anymore. And something had to shift. And I was really the last one to realize I was in crisis. I had tried quite a few things that were not working for me. But I realized there was one important piece missing. And it came to me when I was on a trip on way home from a vacation on an airplane. And the flight attendant actually spoke something that we have probably heard many times. In the event of an emergency, please put on your oxygen mask before assisting others. And for some reason, it was like I had heard that for the first time. Like she was saying it directly to me. And it just really hit my heart and became an epiphany for me. And I realized I was not putting my own oxygen mask on myself first. And instead, I was trying to take care of others and do the things that I was supposed to be doing. I just had lost myself in that process. So at that point, an answer came to me very loud and clear, is to stop trying to control things, Gi. And to, paradoxically, in order to gain control of your life, you must let go of control. And that really just spoke to me so much. I cried profusely and literally, is this right to say, literally, metaphorically, put the oxygen mask on. And I started to breathe differently than I had ever breathed before, and was able to take these full breaths, knowing this was the path I needed to take to shift my life.
Mm. Wow. It's interesting when we tune in, right? How the simplest phrase, a phrase that we've heard over and over and over again, such as, make sure that you put your oxygen mask on first, penetrated you in a completely different way at the moment when you needed it the most.
Exactly. I believe in synchronicity and serendipity to the 10th degree. That things happen exactly when they're supposed to, where they're supposed to. It can, for me, be as simple as driving down the road, thinking of a particular project or person, and I can literally, again, synchronistically, look over at a license plate and read exactly what I need to hear. Like, believe it on the license plate.
Right.
Or something that says never again. Or these incredible things that say trust.
Yeah.
So kind of like a song also coming on the radio when you're thinking about a person. And particularly, for example, my dad, who has passed away just this past year. And when I turn on, how many channels are playing Fly Me to the Moon? Not many. But when I hear that song, I know that's him. And, just it's bringing together for me the connection with the universe. And to a big goal of mine is to bring more empathy into the world.
Yeah. Wow. And this is really what mindfulness is, right? It's this idea of being conscious and being present and becoming more aware of our own selves. It's amazing that, your story led you almost exactly into your pattern of offering healing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So much so. Even at 5 years old, I recall my mom and I had a tumultuous relationship. So there were times when we were not getting along well. And I would find relief going to my room and just lying on the floor even and breathing. And what is mindfulness in the MBSR practice, particularly focusing on the breath, focusing on the body, and getting to know yourself through your body, your thoughts, your emotions. Instead of pushing them away and ignoring them or avoiding them, we invite them in so we can actually get to know ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, it's common. I very often say to my clients, that getting to know the emotions is how we start to process the emotions. And it's also how we start to dive deeper into ourselves, which is exactly what you're saying. So I'd love to know more about how you came into using mindfulness as a healing modality and how that process sort of ignited something within you.
Yes. Well, for me, I had, as I had said, been practicing mindfulness even as a child, but I had no idea that's what I was doing. I will admit it was probably a protective piece, right? Something that I did to be able to protect myself. As I got older, I realized that being present with the breath allowed me to think more clearly and to make better decisions. I had no idea it was called mindfulness. It was probably more called meditation, maybe at the time. And I believe it was Thich Nhat Hanh who brought it over to the United States. And then John Kabat-Zinn in 1979 is the one who brought it to the medical community at UMass and said, please let me have your most difficult clients, particularly in pain, I do believe, and let's try this mindfulness with them, which being mindful has you not try to get rid of the pain or get rid of an emotion that is uncomfortable, it actually has you acknowledge it and accept it in. It's quite paradoxical. Most people, when I'm teaching, they're like, so G, you want me to welcome in this thing that I don't want? This feeling of grief or anger or sadness, or this physical pain that I'm feeling in my back, or these thoughts that keep coming in my head of anxiousness. And I tell them, yes, that's a big process. And what I teach people is when you invite those unwanted, challenging feelings, emotions, sensations in, you are acknowledging them as if you are acknowledging a child that might be tugging on your sweater. You know, mummy, mummy, mummy. When we turn and we say to the child, yes, honey, what is it? They stop tugging. So it's as if the thoughts stop tugging once we acknowledge them. And I love to use this. We invite them in, almost for a cup of tea, if you will. Not for them to stay too long, but the fact that they've been invited in and acknowledged, that's how they lose their power. And you are given your power back by embracing. And then they begin to dissipate. So it's a technique I teach called, can I let it be in order to let it go?
Beautiful.
So, yes. So with that said, I'm not quite sure if I answered your question appropriately, but several Januaries ago, I woke up one morning and I was a little distraught. And I knew I had been wondering, what can I do to help the world be a better, safer place? Since I was worried. And, excuse me, teaching mindfulness as I have all these years has been my own eclectic teaching. And I had decided that if I could teach more mindfulness to more people, to groups, to masses, then there could be more empathy in the world. And I knew that was something that by healing, little saying I have through Dove Star, this holistic school that I started at, that healing the planet one person at a time,
right,
is how we can heal from the inside out.
Yeah.
So in doing that with the purpose of creating more love and kindness in the world. So that's when I decided I would become a certified mindfulness based stress reduction teacher with John Kabat-Zinn's program, and be certified. It's a several-year program, but to teach around the world. And that's one of my goals, to help to expand, again, the empathy.
That's beautiful. So I can see these sparks sort of lighting up in you as we have this conversation today. And it's cool. You know, I love that we're connected because I have sparks in similar places. I love, love, love what you're saying, and the profoundness. I use it in my practice as well, of getting to know, inviting in that emotion, right? Inviting it in, having a little chat with it, just like you said, having a cup of tea, seeing what it's about, seeing, you know, why it's there, what purpose it might be serving, and you know, then saying, okay, got it, I got the message, and you know, I know you can come back, but for now,
Right.
see you later, right?
Exactly.
It's empowering to people, and this is a key to mindfulness that I think you're sharing, is this idea of empowerment that's sort of weaved inside the topic.
Yes, I love to say that what I would hope and instill in my clients, in my customers, is to make mindfulness a thread in the fabric of their life.
Yeah.
So it's this quilt that you don't just have a mindfulness practice for 5 minutes in the morning and then you're never mindful throughout the day.
Yeah.
You have a formal practice that could be 5 minutes, 20, 30 minutes, as long as you wanted. And then how do we keep it sustainable throughout the day. So that's why the definition of mindfulness that I explain is being present in the moment, no matter what the moment brings.
Yeah.
And it might be unpleasant. It might be pleasant. But when we try to struggle to hold on to the pleasantries, push away the unpleasantness, this is when we cause conflict with even in ourselves. And we're no longer mindful. So that's a big piece of this, to pay attention in the moment. So I have this wonderful teacher, Bob, and my favorite saying that he says is, the moment you realize you are no longer mindful, you are. Isn't that great?
That's fantastic.
It gave me permission to have my mind wander, and it's still okay, because a lot of people, let me think of what words to use, but their reason for not using mindfulness, they say the problem or their issue is they can't slow their mind down. They can't sit still. But when you find out that a wandering mind is actually part of mindfulness, there's no more excuses.
Right.
And we
have
mindfulness, so you can move and walk. We even do a hatha yoga in the mindfulness practice, so we can move, and people find solace in ways to practice.
This idea of mindfulness through presence, that of course is the key. And I think what you said, the note of, trying to hold on to the pleasant and push away the unpleasant. And when we experience conflict or contrast or resistance or all of these things, right? Those are our indicators. And I think it's really important to note that this conflict, this contrast, this resistance, whatever it is, it serves us in some way, right? It could be our indicator for awareness, but I'd love to hear you chime in about that moment, that sort of, that feeling, that yucky feeling that comes in with the conflict, the resistance, the contrast.
Yes. And this is such a passion of mine that I practice every day, 30 to 90 minutes. Of course, becoming a teacher, I am committed and dedicated to the practice. And what I do explain to people is it does take work, time, and patience. Mm-hmm. And particularly these 7 attitudinal factors that John Kabat-Zinn has talks about in his book, Full Catastrophe Living. And again, as being a trainer, a teacher in training, my courses are called adapted at this time because I'm not certified yet using their program. But these 7 attitudinal factors are what I use when using your words, that yuckiness comes in, or something is sticky that I don't want to think about or have in my body, or have these feelings. So for me, practicing these 7 attitudinal factors, I've expanded them even into life, not just a mindfulness practice. So they are being non-judging is the first one. Having patience. They are being non-striving, which doesn't mean you don't do anything, but you don't force an outcome. It's that detached compassion. The next one is trust in yourself, in the universe, in others. Having a beginner's mind, which means that every day when you sit for your mindfulness practice, you allow it to come in with a gentle curiosity. and not a, oh goodness, I have to do this again. No, have it come in being excited about, you don't know what's going to bubble up for you today.
I love
And
that.
Yes. And it could be the entire 30 minutes is all interrupted mind wandering. But guess what? That's what your mindfulness practice was that day. And congratulations for you to sit through it. Keep on inviting it in and letting it be in order to let it go. Oh, and there comes another distraction. And then another day, you may have less distracted mind, more spaces in between, and more focus on the breath. Either way, you can't do it wrong. So again, it's having that beginner's mind. And then next goes to the letting go is the sixth attitudinal factor, where again, what do we want to hold on to? Sometimes is what we can think about letting go. And letting go is a process. You don't do it just once. A lot of people think, well, I let that go, so I'm all done. And I say, well, we may have to revisit that because we are human. And then that gives them permission to revisit. Gives them permission to be able to say, oh, this might take a little while. And then the acceptance, which is by no means last, because not least, that's the piece of accepting in, I will say, perhaps the unwanted thoughts, images, physical sensations, the emotions. It could be anger, anxiety. It could be sadness and grief. It could be pain from the back or a shoulder. So when you accept that in by again saying, come on in and sit down. I want to get to know you because you are a part of me. You are not all of me, but you are a part of me because I'm human. So if I can get to know you, I get to know myself better. And then I can know how I relate to different emotions, how I might be able to have more clarity and make clearer decisions, whether it's being mindful with your finances and spending money, being mindful in relationships with family or intimate relationships, being mindful with health, how we eat, how we exercise. And again, I do these great 8 life areas that, your environment, your joyful life, and your career and spirituality piece. How can we be more mindful within all of those? And what you combine those 7 attitudinal factors, and it becomes a way of life. And it's so exciting.
Yeah. Wow. I really see you. I really see you lighting up, and I see this, this embodiment of the change and the shift that's possible, which of course makes me, it makes me think a little bit about the neuropsychology and what's happening within the brain, right? So of course, as we're practicing habits, we're practicing mindfulness more and more, we're creating and strengthening new and different pathways within the brain.
Exactly. And Rick Hansen, who wrote the book Buddha's Brain, which I love, fabulous book, he talks about that even when we take moments to take in the good, which could be a sunset, 10 seconds, 20 seconds. It could be that you've accomplished something yourself and you feel good about it, or opening a door for someone. And it's that altruism that helps you feel good. You take that in for 10, 20 seconds, really absorb it in like a sponge. And then what we're doing is we're changing the neuroplasticity of the brain. We're creating and building thicker, stronger neural pathways. So this way, the endorphins, the serotonin, the dopamine are able to find the connectings, their connector. So now that path is stronger. So we can handle things in life easier, better, with more clarity. and make better decisions, which I think is like the coolest part of it all. And have more empathy.
Yeah. Your practice seems like it's a very, and your work in general, even your learning. So the aspect of learning, the aspect of living within the embodiment of your teaching, and then the aspect of teaching and practicing. I'm curious about this relationship that you have with clients and really the reciprocation. So as you're working with clients, how are you receiving back? What are you experiencing as a healer, as a facilitator? What is that like for you?
It's actually my favorite part of everything. It's when I become the student and they become the teacher. Because I believe that we teach what we need to learn. And I think it was Richard Bach who said that in his book, Illusions. And it just really struck me. So it's not as if I expect them to become my teacher, don't get me wrong. But when we are in a group, whether it's, 3 people or 12 people, no matter what I'm teaching, or even if it's one-on-one, the fact that my beginner's mind, which is one of the 7 attitudinal factors, is able to receive a learning or a teaching from someone else in this world. Otherwise, I think we could become, the ego could get in the way, and then that does not make for good teaching and healing.
Exactly.
So that's one of my favorite parts. And I say that, with love in my heart and in a way very humbly, that I'm honored to be a part of that process and that person's learning process, that student, that client, that customer. And I love to hear the feedback also of how they're doing now. I have clients and customers who to this day will still call or text me or email me to let me know how they are doing, which just melts my heart. It's again an honor to hear that from them.
Wow. I think it takes a true healer to be able to really step into that place of becoming the student, and being with each client and having that opportunity to learn. And every new client, every session really becomes this opportunity for you to explore something within yourself. And then rather than just a service that one provides as a healer, it becomes this real expansiveness of connection and also consciousness. And that's what we're all seeking, right?
Yes. And the embodiment is a very important factor in mindfulness, particularly becoming a teacher of MBSR, is that they want, a big part of our training is being embodied, even while teaching. So to help expand this, I do teach a 2-hour free course once a month at Whole Life Healthcare, where I am in Newington, from 6 to 8 o'clock on what I call the Introduction to Mindfulness. And so people can come and they can get a little taste of mindfulness and learn about it. So here we're practicing the embodiment within this free session. And then also, of course, there's sessions where people can actually take the classes and really do a deeper dive into that.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful, Gi. So for those of you that are local, of course, to the Seacoast and of New Hampshire and the North Shore, this is a great offering for us to take advantage of, for sure. Gi, I'd like to ask you, and you've given so many tips on and ideas, and I think people could translate them into, almost daily practice type tips. But if you could give 3 tips kind of off the top of your head today about mindfulness, that mindfulness has really gifted to you. Maybe they're not specific structures or things like that, but that the process of mindfulness, learning it yourself, being with clients has gifted to you, that would be wonderful.
Sure. Yes. And there are so many of them that I'm like, oh my goodness. And it's very, very exciting to be able to share this, because I like to use the word share and teach instead of like present or speak. So I like that you use that too. So one of the things that really allowed me to become completely dedicated and committed to my mindfulness practice, truth be told, is my teacher Bob's, his words of wisdom. The moment you realize you are no longer mindful, you are. And I have found that clients and students have their eyes have, opened up and said, that's okay. That's all right. Because that's like the biggest problem I have. Now that you just gave me permission to do that, all I have to do is just come back to my breath. All I have to do is just watch my rib cage expand or listen to the sounds around me. I got this. And they feel like, and so that they can do this now. Now they're not worried, well, I can't do this because my mind keeps wandering. Now they have permission to let the mind wander. It's part of the mindfulness. Joan Borizanko has a saying, a good mindfulness practice is one you did. That's it. Right? So simplistic. So I love that he says that, and that I now share that with my clients. The another one would be to literally incorporate, and I teach this. We have some courses coming out online, which we're incorporating these 7 attitudinal factors into mindfulness and into everyday living with these great 8 life areas. So again, I print them out. I have them on my refrigerator. I will say, do I live them 100% every day? No, I'm human. We all have our trials and tribulations. Stuff happens. But isn't that the way that we can then challenge ourselves to handle life situations differently, with more empathy, less judgment, and not be striving? Again, those 7 attitudinal factors I had gone over, and trusting in the beginner's mind, and acceptance and letting go. Even teaching my clients with high anxiety and panic attack disorder that when that happens with them, to be able to say, isn't it interesting? I'm feeling so anxious right now. And for them to take a breath in and then actually acknowledge it. Yes, I'm feeling really anxious right now.
Yeah.
And to be able to accept that in, again, takes the power away from the anxiety, gives it back to the client, and then they can breathe out and then start to focus then on what kind of a person they want to be. Focus on what you want. Turn that focus toward, what would I like to put my energy towards right now? Oh, maybe being self-composed and a little relaxed and just working with the breath and being myself. And then it dissipates. It's that, can I let it be in order to let it go? It's great. These are great little tips that again teach, and it takes time and work and patience to learn them. But when we incorporate them in our lives daily, because an excellent football player like Tom Brady doesn't just go out on the field and just shoot the ball once, right? He's got to practice. It takes work. It takes time. An excellent golfer like Phil Mickelson, he doesn't just go out there and hit the ball. And Beethoven did not sit down and just write his first symphony. That we need to be more gentle with ourselves while we're learning the process. And then this is part of that non-striving, to be able to let it be whatever it is and unfold naturally.
Mm. This is fantastic, Gia. I love the material. I love all of the content. It's full of great information and insight for listeners. And it's just really, really rich conversation. The last question I have is something that you love, and it's something that I love too, that I'm really attached to. It's this idea of the impact upon the collective consciousness and how your work impacts the collective. So in your case, you're really working on that global empathy idea, right? So how do we get there? How are we getting there right now?
So at the risk of repeating a bit of what I had said, I truly believe that bringing more empathy into the world is going to help heal the world. I'm a little nervous sometimes about how the world is today and with the things that are going on. If we watch the news, we see. I try not to watch too much news, but I am aware. And my thought always comes to, I wonder if that person who caused some trauma knew mindfulness. If maybe there's even one iota that they may have made a different choice. So hence the healing the planet, one individual at a time. So it's like that story. I don't know if I'll do it eloquent, but a little boy who was on the beach and there were thousands and thousands and thousands of starfish. You probably have heard it. Many have.
Yeah.
And a gentleman came to walk upon the beach and saw the little boy flinging the starfish into the ocean. And, or we could say gently throwing the starfish. And the gentleman said something to the effect of, "What are you doing? You'll never save all these starfish. This isn't going to matter to any one of these." And the little boy picked up one starfish and placed it in the water and said, "It mattered to that one."
Yeah.
So it can look like there's so much trauma, damage, things that are going on. We could just ignore it. But how about helping or teaching and sharing and being empathic to one person at a time? And through, I believe, the teaching of mindfulness, because of its foundations. And again, even the 7 attitudinal factors, I keep going back to them because they're such a powerful base. Non-judging, the very first one.
Yeah.
Patience, trust, non-striving, beginner's mind, acceptance, and letting go. Could you imagine? I think this, I would love to see this as a course and a curriculum starting in kindergarten.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, but then also in adults, because many adults don't know about this. But I do feel that, so for the collective consciousness, if more people were doing this, and I hope that I'm answering this question in the correct way, is that the empathy then flows, and perhaps someone who was going to do an act of unkindness might stop and pause and change their mind before they hurt more people.
Yeah.
I'm a dreamer. And this is a mission in my life, is to, through all my work, is to create more empathy. And I do believe that when people allow themselves to live the life that they want to live through, I even do vision board classes, I teach Reiki, I do counseling, I have, again, the classes coming online, and there's a wonderful free class, and this isn't a plug. What I'm trying to say is, whether it's me or someone else, there's courses and classes that people are teaching to help bring more eloquence into the world, more efficiency. And with all of this, we can create more of a kindness and love. So we are there for each other instead of fighting it.
Beautiful. Gee, that's exactly the direction. Yeah, I feel it too in a really big way. And your story, your starfish story, of course, is one of my most favorite stories. I reference it all the time. So I think there's such a powerful connection that we're sharing here. I feel such a positive energy that's emanating from our time today. And I would just love to let people know how they can get in touch with you, how they can learn more, and how, if they're thinking about mindfulness, perhaps they can pique their curiosity. So your website is BeMindfulWithG and .com, and it's GI, so not just the letter G, but GI, and of course we'll link that for you. And do you have other ways for people to get in touch, or is that the best?
Well, absolutely. I have other ways. Of course, we have a Facebook page. So we would love for people to come over to the Facebook page, like that page, and share it, because I also do live feeds on Facebook where we're doing mindfulness for 30 minutes, oftentimes in the mornings. Sometimes I might do it in the afternoon if I'm over at the ocean, but it's times for people, and I do record it so you can watch it again later in the week even. Mm-hmm. So the Facebook page, and of course, I do have an email, g@BeMindfulWithG.com.
Beautiful.
And again, it's spelled GI. And I'm here at Whole Life Healthcare, so they could read more about me on that website. And my biggest and most exciting piece is that I offer a free course teaching mindfulness, and it's called A Taste of Mindfulness. It's worth approximately $400, and I'm offering it for free so people can begin the process. There's videos, there's audios, and there are handouts for you to work through the program. And one of the most favorite videos is, well, there's several, but I'm on the ocean while I'm doing them. So you even get the beautiful ocean sounds and in the background while we're doing mindfulness work. And then I also teach you postures. And a lot of people feel they need to just sit up in the chair, or they need to sit on a floor with their legs crossed, and now they're uncomfortable. There's something called an astronaut position, where your feet, your legs are actually on a chair and your body is on the floor. So you're almost in a position like a Z. Mm-hmm. People are finding this has been the secret for them to begin mindfulness, because they don't have to worry about their back hurting or shoulder, and it just seems to be more comfortable place for them to start. So I would love for them to go to the website and you drop in your email, and then you can sign up for the free course, A Taste of Mindfulness, and it will bring you through a journey that you can begin to learn mindfulness and how to start your practice.
Wow. Gee, what a special gift and offering. That's wonderful. The work you're doing is clearly reaching one person at a time, and clearly reaching that global level of empathy. I feel it. I know it. I trust it. And it's been such a powerful conversation and such a lovely time to share with you. I appreciate this so much.
Thank you. Thank you. And I would love to offer for you to come we're having a free course even this Wednesday night. I do that once a month, again, for 2 hours at Whole Life Healthcare. So I would love to do some more work with you, Crystal.
Beautiful.